They're not against it.
We've been the mayor down in a long time,
Okay.
right? They fired Feldman because they're shitty, right? Then Joy Lake,
Like Joy?
Lake Joy, yeah. Anyway, they fired him here a year and a half ago. There isn't anybody that can't mow the campground, okay?
Well, you would think.
Stop it. They fired him, and Four Seasons has been doing the same thing they do for the internet access. That's what I couldn't believe.
I call this regular meeting of the Platteville Common Council to order this 26th day of November, 2013. We'll start with roll call.
Dick Bonin,
Here.
Ken Killian,
Here.
Eileen Nichols has been excused, Patrice Steiner,
Here.
Mike Den,
Here.
Barbara Doss. Here. And Barbara Stockhausen.
Here. Tonight we have two public hearings. The first one is Resolution 13-47, appropriating the necessary funds for the operation and administration of the City of Platteville for 2014. We will start with staff presentation.
Included in your packet is a copy of the budget that the city council has been working on for the last 2 or 3 months. The budget at this time is a revenue totaling, has a general fund revenue and expense budget totaling a little over $8 million, and a total for all of the funds at about $22.7 million. The total tax levy proposed is $3,745,170, which is about a 1.63% increase from last year on the assessment rate. We're looking at probably $7.39 per 1,000 of assessed value. So for the people at home who have their tax bills out, you can figure out your assessed value times $7.39 per $1,000, and that's looking to be what's proposed for next year for the city's levy. The second page in your packet on this item is a list of last-minute revisions. You'll see that all of the exempt computer aid numbers came in from the state of Wisconsin, and as well as an updated TIF taxes number. As other taxing jurisdictions got the information into the county, we were able to more accurately anticipate the TIF revenue streams coming in. So we're proposing tonight an additional $6,024 worth of changes.
Okay. Any questions for city manager?
Larry, that's just an increase, the tax per the dollar value per thousand is just, what, 7 cents more than it was last year? Doesn't that come
I
to-
believe that's accurate. Dwayne, or Valerie, would you happen to know exactly?
It's actually 12 cents more.
Pardon?
Well,
12 cents
12
more.
cents more? Okay, so that way everybody gets a real idea of what it's like. It's only 12 cents more than it was last year.
That's pretty close to
Okay.
flat, yeah.
12 cents per 1,000.
Thousand, correct.
So for a $100,000 house, it would be,
$12.
$120.
Under 20.
120. I think the city of Platteville has a history of relatively low increases. I believe over the past 10 or 12 years, we've increased less than 1% per year. So as a community, I think that's a very conservative approach, and I think the city council has done a very thorough job of analyzing the city's budget.
And the department heads.
And the department heads should not be forgotten.
Any other questions for staff? Next is public statements in favor. I have nobody that has registered to speak about the budget. Speak now or come up now and forever hold your peace. Public statements against. Public statements in general. Council discussion.
Well, personally, I think we spent many hours on this budget. Budgets are never easy. There's always a lot of give and take within a budget, but And I can't deny that I missed a couple meetings, so I know that everybody here spent even longer than I did, but this is a budget I can support because we have worked through it. So I would just say that budgets are never fun, but it's good to know that we can provide an increase for our staff in terms of wages, and we've only increased by this much.
And I would add, I would think that, at least since I've been on the council since 2007, I would say this was the most difficult budget that I've ever worked on. Lots of difficult decisions had to be made. Some cuts were not fun to do, and some added expenses like like Barb said, the increase in wages for hourly employees. We know we all wanted to do that. We just had to find the money to do it. Any other discussion?
Yes, I have a little bit. I was reading the minutes for the Commission on Aging, and it pointed out that the senior aid, the senior citizen aid 2 was taken out of the budget by the city manager. And also I was looking at the salaries, wages for the senior citizen director and the aide, and I noticed no change. So what I'm recommending here is that there be some increase, some funding go to the senior citizen center. And I'm not asking for $9,000 restoration. The budget wound up to be $8,000 cut to the budget put in by the senior center. I'd like to see some money go to the senior center as far as the additional hours for the aid. So that's my recommendation. So I'd like to see some negotiation or conferring with this between the city manager and the senior center director.
You're saying additional hours for the aid can plus increase in the staff workers?
Some additional hours for the senior center aid
Okay.
that was cut out.
I'm not sure how that's handled. Do we?
To do it now
We're
or
voting
do
on
it
it
later?
December 10th, the salary schedule.
I
Right.
think that would be the appropriate time.
The assistant position is unfunded in this budget. So if you would like it funded, you should put some money into that account. As far as the compensation for the director, that is not considered either. That is a part-time position and not a full-time. And our instruction was to look at full-time employees.
I understand that, so we can discuss that later when we get to the information and discussion about salaries and wages.
Yep. And if you decide to change the compensation, you'd simply need a small budget amendment to make that happen.
But that will be voted on December 10th, right?
Yes.
The salary schedule.
Salary schedule for employees that are not salaried.
I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
No,
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I move adoption of Resolution 1347, appropriating the necessary funds for the operation and administration of the city of Platteville for the year 2014.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to accept Resolution 13-14, the 2014 city's operating budget.
13-47.
Sorry, 13-47, the 2014 budget.
Plus amendments, right?
Yes, would you include the amendments as well? Yep.
Okay, we'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
no,
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, tonight's second public hearing is the Community Development Block Grant Update, Library Block Redevelopment Feasibility Study.
Yes, you'll recall the city of Platteville received a feasibility study grant from the state of Wisconsin as part of a CDBG grant. That grant of $25,000 was matched by the city's library for another $25,000, and together we had a feasibility study comprised to help guide the redevelopment of the library block project. That feasibility study, because it was funded by a CDBG grant, it requires 2 public hearings. The city council has already had 1 public hearing early in the process, and this would be the second public hearing to bring out the recommendations of the feasibility study. This feasibility study is on the city's webpage. It is at the library. It's on the counter downstairs in the main office, and it is available to the public upon request or via the website. I just wanted to briefly go over the 7 recommendations made in the feasibility study, just to make sure that everyone is aware of it, and encourage the public to comment if they have any questions or concerns. The feasibility study recommended that we maintain the Platteville Public Library as the anchor of this redevelopment project, as it will support the success of other business entities within the development, especially the retail commercial space of the redevelopment. The financial feasibility study shows the construction of a new and expanded public library, and the parking to support that its patrons is feasible. The goal of the project is to use the 198,000 square feet and approximately $38 million redevelopment project to pay for the additional 12,000 square feet of public library space and applicable additional operating expenses. We recommend a go decision. So the feasibility study is suggesting that this is worthwhile and would cash flow. They also recommended that a student housing portion of the redevelopment project also be considered feasible based on market and financial absorption rates due to the increasing enrollment of UW-Platteville. Number 4 was the extended stay hotel portion of the redevelopment project is not feasible based on 10,070,000 units proposed in the development. We recommend that the hotel should be right-sized to become market and financially feasible. Optimal hotel project is estimated at 5 million or 35,000 square feet to make an approximately 60-unit hotel. At a projected construction cost of just over $7.4 million for the parking needed to support the project, the parking stalls required to support each business or organization will have to be allocated to the overall construction costs. Debt service, maintenance, and associated operating costs would be incorporated into the parking leases for the project. The project would generate an additional tax base of $30 million of TIF financing, with a value of over $13,760,000 over 20 years. It is estimated that the project would create over 41 new jobs. And those are the 7 recommendations brought about by the feasibility study that was completed from the CDBG grant. And I guess that concludes the staff report.
Okay, are there any public statements in favor? Mike Mayo, you have asked to speak. And this would be public statement against.
Michael Mayo, 375 South Chestnut Street, here in Platteville. First of all, my wife couldn't make it tonight, but she wanted me to give you her comments. Platteville has $20 million in debt, according to the Platteville Journal's article. How did we get into this much debt? Did the city spend it on a new police department or improved and built new roads in the industrial park? Why? Our services in the town have decreased, and now our taxes will increase. Then I read in the city website that our city manager and council president is encouraging more huge spending deficit by proposing the library block project, another $20 million project. If passed, we would be $40 million in debt. That'd be approximately $8,000 for each taxpayer in town. We do not want to be another Detroit, Michigan, a bankrupt city. My comments, in essence, mimic those of my wife's. But I look over this library block key role in Platteville's plan. I noticed that looking over just the statistics that are given on the website, that most of this space is going to student housing. I don't know the last time, and I don't remember the last time that anybody asked me if I wanted to contribute to the students' housing. I think the students pay enough in their tuition and in their fees that why should we, the residents of Platteville, have to build them another student housing? So far, we've basically done that twice. Roundtree Commons, I'm sorry, that was built on bonds, wasn't it, Barbara? Those bonds that you would inflated some $8 million. And so here it is, another request to build student housing, another 336 beds. How does that equate in parking spaces? Or shall I ask our parking czar? How much cost is it to us, the taxpayers, to create another parking hassle fiasco that went on for 2.5 years? I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want to pay any more. I don't want our taxes to go up so that we could give to the university. I left the book at home. Most of the council was there at the Jameson dinner, the pasty dinner. It says, from an academy to a university. That academy was built by the people who lived in this town. And it was created into a university. It was by the bequests of Roundtree, who turned over property to the city, to the university, actually. Now, you're asking the taxpayers to not only turn over property by, first of all, Larry Berkey, Platteville City Manager, agreed. This is an ambitious project with the community coming together to make something positive happen. I have never seen a community more divided than this community. And unfortunately, I have to look up here, and this is the dividing force. It's very upsetting that nobody wants to look at the real matters. They just want to turn over and say, hey, I'm going to get something out of this. Why don't I go ahead and just vote that way? Berkey cited recent growths on the east side that include the industrial park. Ground is supposed to be broken sometime next year. So obviously, the city council has already approved this, and our city manager's just telling us that's what you have to do. Because He's going to run the city whatever way he wants. Doesn't care how much deficit we have. He doesn't care how much taxes he has to raise. It's all, let me pass it on to you, and I'm telling you what to do, and now you have to go ahead and just rubber stamp me. That's exactly what's going on. And if you can't see that, you're blind or stupid, one or the other. Yes, you heard me. If we can make a connection between the public and private efforts going into this, it'll be a long-lasting positive development. And our city council president, I think it's an exciting conversation as we are having right now with a lot of private developers as well as public involvement. I've been around this town. I don't know anybody that wants to give over their land or sell their property so that somebody can build whatever they want, and a new library.
Mr. Mayor, your
New
5
library
minutes,
is
your
fine.
5 minutes is up.
But it's costing us $8,000 per person if that's what you're going to do.
Any other public statements against? Any public statements in general? Sir? If you could state your name and address.
Brian Fritz, 1005 Menage Drive, Platteville, Wisconsin. You'll hear from me later on also, so I'll keep this short and sweet. I own multiple businesses in town, multiple properties, 5 apartment buildings, including a commercial building probably about 30 yards away from the proposed development. I am strongly in favor of it. Communities need things like this. Public and private sectors coming together. This is what I do for a living. It works. It's very important for the communities and the private people involved to do their due diligence and look in and do the studies and the feasibility of what happens. But I can speak from experience and ownership in this. It's a good thing when it comes together. Thank you.
Thank you. Council discussion.
I have a question or comment. First of all, the parts. Now, the city manager went over this. So it includes, of course, the library, university motel. That's for university, is that correct?
The feasibility study was looking at options. At this point, none of these organizations have signed on the dotted line.
So-
But the feasibility was to have some kind of a student apartment building and work with the university or the foundation to try to have them participate in the development.
So there would be a motel, hotel part, is that correct?
Yes, we do have a letter of interest from a hotel that is interested in being a participant in this development.
And then a student housing, any number did you give on that?
We really don't know at
Excuse
this
me.
point, but I suspect it would be, anywhere between 75 and 100 apartments, depending on the density that the city council is interested in seeing on that block.
And then I didn't hear, did the health facility, that's included?
Currently, there's a property on the block that is owned by Southwest Community Action Program, Southwest CAP, and they provide some type of clinical service there to those who don't have the means to purchase at a hospital. And my understanding is that they are also a willing partner in this development, a willing landowner that wants to see a new clinic there.
And then retail and parking.
Yep. We
Have
anticipate,
I missed anything?
well, the library, of course.
Oh, I have the
Yeah.
library first.
Isn't
Okay.
there supposed to be affordable housing because it says CDBG grant?
I don't believe that that's a requirement, although I suspect with student housing, we would be able to meet that.
Okay.
I bring up the question because people ask me what's in it, and I go down through the list, and
Well,
I think there needs to be some more PR to tell people what's going on.
there definitely does. I couldn't agree with
You
you
know,
more.
it just,
The problem
I
we
get
have is that
questions.
just as you brought up the questions, it's a feasibility study and nobody has committed to the project yet. That's why the city council hasn't had a design meeting, hasn't had a discussion. We don't have a project until people start signing the dotted line. What we've got is an idea, and we've got people that are interested in the idea, but we have a lot of paperwork to do in order to bring that idea to a project. Agreements have to be written. We have to get a vision or a rendering so that people can see what it is that's being proposed. And all of that, before we start incurring bills with an architect, we have to make sure we know who's paying those bills and how the entities are working that out. So all 5 or 6 of those entities you mentioned, Mr. Killian, all have to be together and have a vision as to what they all agree is going to happen there. That's going to take a little while.
And the other thing I get is, when can I talk to the city or developer about how I will be affected? For example, the church.
Right.
May I go through that example? The church is located directly across the street. They have 16 parking stalls right across from 2 main doors of the church. And so they'll be definitely affected. So the question is, what's going to happen to their parking? Will their parking be in the new building, or whatever this new structure, or will the parking be someplace away from where it is right now? Can that question be answered, or is this too soon?
It cannot be answered right now. I can tell you that there's a group of people who are managing this program, and they've met with some of the property owners, and we have a lot of verbal commitments that are willing to sell. So landowners are willing to participate or want to see this happen. But we're not at a point now yet where we will go and talk to the church. We need a couple of other things to fall into place. But if you're a member of the church, or if you have communications with them, please relay that we will be in touch. We just have to let things fall into place.
The church is unique because their parking is close by.
Yep.
So if you move the parking to their lot, the effect can be that they can't add on to the church. You have to use up the space for parking. Then if you buy parking away from the church, that increases the distance away. So the church is unique as far as the problem that is being caused here by taking the parking.
I assure you that whatever happens, the church would be a willing participant. And if they're not willing, then nothing's going to happen to their parking lot.
Okay. Next thing I have is, I'm sure too soon also, and that's the size of this structure. This structure is, since you say there's no design,
Right.
we don't know whether it's going to be one big structure or multiple or what.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, my point is it needs to fit in with the neighborhood as far as size and appearance. Thank you.
Larry, one quick question. This is another future question. Will there be a comparison of price-wise if we were just to build a library, or what the library will cost after 7 years when we have to buy it back from the developer?
We can certainly make sure that one is put together for you.
That would be kind of nice, because usually it's more expensive when you buy it back.
Yeah, that'll all have to be worked out before any ground is broken.
Thank you.
We'll have to know exactly what the costs are.
Any other questions?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close public hearing, and we'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss.
Yes.
Stackhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 4 on the agenda is consideration of consent calendar. The following items may be approved on a single motion and vote due to their routine nature or previous discussion. Please indicate to the council president if you would prefer separate discussion and action. Item A, minutes for the November 12th regular council meeting. Item B, payment of bills. Item C, appointments to boards and commissions, and there are none tonight. Item D, licenses. 1 and/or 2-year operator's license and taxi license. I would like item A removed for separate discussion.
I would like item D removed for separate discussion. So I make a motion that we approve item B on the consent calendar since there is nothing in item C.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes,
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, under item A, the November 12th minutes, the first item under action, item A, the cleaning contract with S&A Cleaning. Go towards the second to the last line, and it says $843.84 per month cleaning of the auditorium as needed. That is not how I understood Councilperson's Doss motion during that meeting. So I would prefer to strike that last part of the sentence and the $843.84 per month cleaning of the auditorium as needed.
Now, I don't believe I said an amount. I believe my motion was, and cleaning of the auditorium as needed.
As needed, yeah, and
Not necessarily $843.84 per month.
exactly.
So I would agree that
Just strike the last half of that sentence,
well,
so,
I would like it to continue and cleaning of the auditorium as needed.
all right, then strike the
But-
$843.84 per month.
Right. That was my motion, that we would clean it as we
That's-
needed it.
Okay, that's how I kind of remembered it, all right.
So do I have to make a motion to amend that, or what, Jan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, one more thing under the,
Well, no, do you want one motion at a time on these? I make a motion that we delete the words, the $843.84 per month from action item A, cleaning contract with S&A Cleaning. That would be an amendment. I make a motion for that amendment.
Okay.
Now you need a second for that,
A second.
okay?
all right, moved and seconded to correct the November 12th minutes. We'll
I
vote.
have the main motion first, which is to approve the minutes. I think you could just
Oh.
move it to approve the minutes as corrected.
Oh, okay.
But is there one more change?
It was a minor one, but yeah,
Yeah,
under
that one.
firefighter memorial,
Statute?
statutes all need to be statutes.
Statues.
I understand why you did it. Other than that, that was my two corrections on the meeting. So, Ken, you're saying that the motion should just be accept the minutes as corrected?
Yes,
All right, then I'll move we accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll second it.
We'll vote?
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
yes,
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then Barb, you had another item?
Yes, and the licenses, Doug, I'd like to ask a question. If we have an application for an operator who's had a conviction and a license revocation,
Or driver's license, or,
driver's license, within the last half year, is it appropriate that that person, I mean, are we to be issuing operator's licenses?
historically, the licensing committee hasn't really linked the two.
Pardon?
Historically, the licensing committee hasn't really linked the two between, operator's license for driving or operator's license for serving alcohol.
Jan, I'd like you to put that on our next licensing committee agenda in terms of a discussion of license revocation for alcohol consumption, and then issuance of operator's license to serve alcohol. Somehow, seems like that.
I guess I misunderstood. Were you talking, when you said a revocation, you said for the actual licensed establishment?
No,
Oh, or
I'm saying
driving
driver's
lic- okay.
license revocation for consumption of alcoholic
over.
beverages,
Okay.
as it links to an a license to serve liquor. And there is not really a statute that addresses that or any rule.
Not per se, but
Okay, then, since we don't have a statute or a rule that addresses that, with this, I'm asking you to put it on our next licensing committee agenda. And now I will make a motion to approve the licenses for the operators and taxi drivers as as proposed. We need a second.
Second.
Okay, we'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes,
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 6 is citizens' comments, observations, and petitions. I have 2 people who have signed up to speak. First one, Brian Fritz, on the proposed multifamily project.
Well, my name is Brian Fritz. I am owner of Pioneer Property Management in town. I also am a member of Iceberg Development Group. Reason I'm here today, some of you know, we've been looking at doing an affordable housing community in town. I own the former radio station next to the pool, that 5 acres there. And we have been exploring over the last year doing a project there. I am a Platteville resident. I was born and raised. One thing that I have seen as I have grown up and gone through is housing has changed in this community a lot. And we've got a lot of housing, but especially as we talked earlier and things that brought up, the growth of the university has really kind of changed the dynamic of the community, everything that we looked at. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and unfortunately sometimes a lot of money looking into how I can not only as a business person, but as a member of this community, born and raised and still here, better. And the thing that we have found is that there is no more affordable housing needed here. So what we have proposed is to apply for tax credits. It's part of the Section 42 tax credit code. Basically what people care about is we get credits from the state that we're able to sell in the open market, and that provides us our equity to help build these buildings. In return, we are required to rent to households under a certain level of income, okay? So, for example, our exact mix hasn't been set, but for the majority of it, it's not what people would think of low-income housing. It is a 60% area median income. An example that I like to give in our area, this is Platteville, a family of 4, that would be $35,160. Okay, so what we've found, and we see this in a lot of communities, but definitely one here where I live now, is there isn't that middle ground. Okay, we've got, if you're not a homeowner and you're looking for rent, there is stuff down here, and then there is a lot of the housing has gone to student housing, and they are getting a premium for that, which makes it not affordable for the average family in town. One thing that we think will help is bringing this in. It also will help the school districts. I look at when I was in high school in Platteville, I think our enrollment was approximately 700 people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're under 500 kids now. Is that correct? Somewhere around there? Okay, we're seeing a drastic reduction. It's not all tied to this, but I am a firm believer, and I have studies to back it up, that we do have families migrating and transplanting out to communities outside of the area and are driving into Platteville to work. That's hurting our community. We need to make sure that those people that want to live in town have good quality affordable housing that they can be here. Okay? Part of the reason I'm here is with the program, you apply. It is a competitive process, and there's things that go into, and it's a pointed system. All right? The long and short of it is, a large component of it is what's called a financial commitment. Okay? Generally, as I do this, and we go out into a lot of communities, we work with, tax incremental financing and some things like that. Where we are located, I feel like that's a good spot. It's a quality land. It'll be good for there. One of the things that we can do is work with communities and take out, it's any type of support. It could be a loan, which we would pay interest on. It could be help if there's sewer improvements that are needed, water improvements that are needed, or just your good old-fashioned permit fees, things like that. So that is what I'm here, is to kind of talk about, and one, answer any questions either tonight or going forward. Feel free to contact me of what we're looking at trying to do, and also talking about how we can bring additional housing and tax base to the city of Platteville. What I brought very quickly is just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that we've done. This is a project, this is pretty similar to what we would be looking at in our community, okay? It is two-story housing for the most part, possibly three, mainly two. Looking at probably 2, 3, and 4-bedroom units. This you can see a little bit better. This is a project we did in Waukee, Iowa. This is a rent-to-own structure that we actually did here. There were duplexes, and you can see some of the interiors. Okay, high quality, affordable housing for people that need it. They need that extra help. They're, from a market rate standpoint, that's just not there. The funds aren't there, but at the same time, they don't want to be living in anything else. To add on to that, I do own 3 apartment buildings. I own 56 units of affordable housing in town already. Okay, we just went through a major rehab. Between those 3 buildings and 3 others in southwest Wisconsin, we did a rehabilitation of approximately $5 million back into those buildings. Okay, I can tell you, specifically in Platteville, when we're looking at this, our phone, we are full, 100%, all taken care of. My phone will still not stop ringing of families that are looking for high quality, affordable housing to come in. And at this point, we have no place to put them. That is why we are looking at doing an additional project.
You know how many units you're going to be looking at?
That's the question of the hour. To be honest with you, I think what we will be looking at doing is 24 units to start with a community building, okay, with the potential for a second phase if needed. Yeah.
Going to have houses together? Will these be like duplexes, 1-story?
Well, we do, so I manage 4,000 units across the United States, okay? I've developed over the last year, I've been a part of, over probably the last 4 years, 20 projects, okay? We do everything from 144 unit elderly building all encased into one program to, we have a project that was funded with credits from the Hurricane Katrina down in Gulfport. It's 335 single-family homes, okay? Because of the zoning at this land, because of building costs, a lot of things that go into that, we'll be looking at one structure. So it'll be a community center tied into the apartments. It would be one building. And oh, by the way, the lot is zoned properly for that.
Now, the space per, let's say a 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom, what's the space for a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom typically?
You know,
you're talking about a family with children?
We're talking about a family. A 3-bedroom unit, we're probably looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2 full bathroom, probably 1,100 square feet. Okay, something on there, open floor plan. 4-bedroom, just for the sheer size you're getting in, you're probably talking 1,350, 1,400 square feet.
And then as far as, I'm looking at things like storage, for example, and garages, but will these places
We will have ample parking space. We will not have indoor parking. Okay, and then from a storage standpoint, we always try to provide storage. So something in the building, a lot of times, again, depending on the layout, everything that happens, we look to have, just everyone's seen them, the cages that everyone gets assigned one, or we have shared space.
The ones you just talking about remodeling, that over here in Cassarenda Court?
Yeah, Carcerina Court is one of them, Parview Apartments and Emerald Court. Those two are across the street from the golf course.
And you're done with them now?
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay.
The apartments are all done. We have some punch list items and things like that.
What about the antenna, or, yeah, the radio station structure?
The towers?
Well,
Thank you.
that all comes down.
Okay.
Yeah, that, we don't keep that there. They are in the process of moving. Guys, this is how much I believe in that site, and I believe in what's needed in this community. Me, along with my partners, we bought the land, okay? There's not an option on it. I personally own that land because we feel like that is a great space. It's what's needed. It's close to the schools. You got the largest park in town. Everything that you would want from a family site is right there. So, we are really putting our efforts into trying to get this done. Yeah.
I subscribe to the Madison newspaper, Wisconsin State Journal, and I've read about some bad stories as far as some of the housing. Are you going to have manager on site?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to come back at, some housing, that's a pretty broad spectrum. So, everyone knows, I'll say it, we're not Allied Drive. Okay, that's what a lot of people read about in the State Journal. Everything else. We will have, so keep in mind, I have 20 employees, okay, about a half a mile away from there. I have a maintenance supervisor that's already in town. Okay, we will be hiring an additional maintenance person. There will be a full-time property manager. There will be a cleaner on site. And oh, by the way, 2 out of the 3 owners of the building live within a 3-minute drive.
But there'll be a manager on site.
Yep, full-time.
Full-time.
Listen, I would love if every one of my buildings had somebody that lived there and worked there. I don't know that. They work 40 hours a week. At a minimum, we will have somebody that works 40 hours a week, and there's posted emergency contacts. So say a weekend or 11 p.m., someone toilets overflows, go through. We have contacts. We're 24/7.
Well, I'm personally looking forward to it. It's in my district. We really do need housing. I've had people from your other complexes that you've remodeled. They love it. New carpeting, new appliances, new cupboards, you name it. They love it, literally. And I think we desperately need this property. We've already had people call today in my office asking for ideas, where to place their family. We need more than 2-bedroom. I think it's difficult to have a family move into a 2-bedroom apartment, especially if you have children that are a boy and a girl, which I heard from today.
So one thing, and not to jump on your toes, thank you for saying that, by the way. There is housing in town, but there is not an intermediate level, and some of the stuff that I do manage would be considered low-income housing, but they're wonderful units, but they're small. Okay, they are what they are. We don't have large units, anything else. We need that. We need that middle level, especially in this community, where we have that, a normal sized house where you don't have to go out and rent a single family home, or you don't have to live in an apartment building that ends up being half college kids. Listen, I was a college kid. I understand. When I was, me and my wife and my children now, I was great. I wouldn't want to live next to me. So, that's what's happened a little bit in our community, is everything has married and meshed together because of the size. We are a small community that has seen an influx of college kids, 2,500 people, 2,500 kids in however many years, with the potential to do how many more. You know, when we talk about the proposed library project on there, Platteville needs all kinds of housing.
Right, one question for you.
Yeah.
Isn't there included with the programs that you manage that every so many years there's an upgrade in them?
So,
Or is that not totally true?
yes and no. So a little bit, everyone's getting a lesson here in something they don't really care about. But with the tax credit program, okay, it is not a federally funded project, okay? The government sets aside this for the state. Each individual state gets X amount of tax credits each year to do as they please. And what happens is everyone, they do a qualified allocation process. Everyone has an opportunity to submit an application and say, this is what we'd like to do. This is how many credits we would like. We are a privately owned building. We have individual investors. So with that, Mike, when you talk about it, we have certain codes and everything that we have to keep up and maintain. So if something goes bad, we guarantee that building and we guarantee those credits for a 15-year period. Okay, so there's no running away after 3 years. There's no building this and taking the money and then saying, oh, the economy turned around, let's sell them off as condos. Doesn't happen in this program.
And I was also referring to the maintaining, like you've just basically gutted all those apartments and everything back is new. And isn't over a certain number of period of years that you just always do that?
Well, you have the opportunity, not necessarily. We applied for funding and I was awarded credits on those projects. That's why we did that.
Okay.
However, in general, broad term, a building we manage, I don't own it, a building we manage, a good one is Fairfield Court Apartments. It's an elderly building. It sits, kind of back in there by the high school, okay? That building is almost 40 years old, okay? I would recommend everyone go drive by and take a look at it. Now, I would like to say, listen, I'm a really good property manager. I'm proud of what we do, but we're not miracle workers. You're required. I mean, we have people that come in and review and inspect and do everything year after year after year. We have multiple inspections on that similar property. 40 years old, still looks like it's.
Thank you.
Okay, we do need to move on. Thank you so much, Brian. That's good news for Platteville. Certainly the type of housing that is needed. Next, there's no name on here. Choose a Scrooge?
I'm Luke Peters, representing Project Pulse today, and I'll start going on what we're here today. We're here today to introduce a very special election in Platteville, and that is this year, for the first year ever, we are going to give residents the ability to choose a Scrooge. This is an all-in-good fun election, and it's a fundraiser, and the 4 candidates have all agreed to be on the ballot. And Carolyn's going to introduce our candidates.
Our first candidate is Larry Berkey with the City of Platteville, City Manager, and his platform statement is, everyone should be shoveling the streets with slotted spoons. So be forewarned, if you have a spoon that has a solid bowl, he's on the lookout. Our second candidate is Dennis Cooley from the UW Platteville Foundation. He's the executive director there, and his platform, and he's a wily guy. He's a little smiley in this picture, but he says anyone caught smiling should be charged at least $1. They obviously aren't working hard enough, so careful about your smiles during this season. Jack Ludke, Platteville Main Street Executive Director. Now, a lot of streets in Platteville, a lot of businesses. We like to communicate with one another, and he has promised that he will ban all cell phones and tablets from Main Street and all of Platteville. And then we have finally mild-mannered Connie Valenza, who is the Platteville School District Superintendent, and she is saying no homework over the holiday break because there will be no break. This is your chance, Platteville.
All right, so this is a fundraiser, and to vote, we are asking that residents simply place $1 or more into the ballot of their choice, and every dollar will count as one vote. The polls will open December 2nd and run through December 23rd, although we may make an exception for tonight and place the ballots in the back of the room. The candidate with the most votes at the end of that time will be elected the town Scrooge on December 24th. For anyone that is not able to get to one of our locations, which are Heiser Hardware, Country Kitchen, the Chamber of Commerce, the Platteville Library, or City Hall, you can also send your donations to Choose a Scrooge at P.O. Box 780, Platteville, Wisconsin. Be sure to make checks payable to Platteville EMS and indicate your Scrooge of your choice so we know who you're voting for. This year, all proceeds for the Choose a Scrooge election will benefit Project Pulse. For those that don't know, Project Pulse has a mission to save lives by equipping city facilities with AEDs, which are the defibrillators that you might see that clear. The pool just received ours today. It's sitting in my office just now, so that was a fund raised by Project Pulse that just came in today. And these defibrillators are very important because quick use of a defibrillator can actually, or after a sudden cardiac arrest, can actually increase the chances of survival by 75%. There's a statistic that for every 1 minute after sudden cardiac arrest that you don't have defibrillation, that your chance of survival goes down 10%. So these are very, very important. And throughout the course of our lives in Platteville, we all use these city facilities. So that's why we feel it's important to make sure they have AEDs in them. So that's it. Maybe not.
Ballot stuffing is encouraged.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And I have an announcement. I had left bookmarks on the table there at the entrance. The Theater of Ballet Arts is presenting the children's ballet Thumbelina Saturday, December 7th and Sunday, December 8th, right here in City Hall in the auditorium. I'll spare you all the details because all of the details are on the bookmark, so feel free to take one as you leave this evening. And one more comment. I cannot read the handwriting. Subject, what?
It's Michael
Mr. Mail? I can't read the subject. What is the subject?
Comments and, observations and comments. Are we on that area right now?
I don't know, it looks like Culver's to me. I can't read it.
Michael Mayo, 375 South Chestnut Street. First of all, I want to apologize. I was wrong in my original observation that this new innovation center that our chancellor wants is, like he says, going to cost $8 million. But that's only pre-construction costs. That's his getting all the information, getting what we need, and having to go ahead and file through that. It's pre-construction. No, not even a shovel is put into the ground. It's $8 million. And where's he looking to get that money from? Us. I did a little more research. A couple of places where our chancellor used to work in. New York City. The population of New York City is 8,336,000 people. Take $1 per person. Yep, the chancellor can go ahead and get his pre-construction costs. Not a problem. He also worked in the Boston area. 636,479 people. Yeah, I'm sure with the money that's up in the Boston area, he could get people to go ahead and contribute to his cause. And $8 million shouldn't be a problem for him to attain. But again, pre-construction costs. And then we come to Platteville. 11,266 people. And of that, I'll be conservative, 7,000 are students. So we have approximately 4,300 people here in town. And yet, they're looking for $8 million in pre-construction costs. And we don't know how much it's going to cost after that. Brian, I want to thank you for your program on affordable living. I know myself, when I had my house for rent, I was inundated with students that only wanted to stay there. They'd give me anything I wanted because the house was heated and air conditioned. They had a great place to live. So I understand what it's like. I just want this town to come together. I'm tired of everybody just fighting against each other. The council is rolling with the city manager, and the people in town that I've spoke to don't want to hear of it. I want this council to listen to the people who elected you, to be cognizant of their wants. And if we're going to spend $8 million on ridiculous stuff, why don't we put it like in something stupid, like our streets and roads? Like, Jack Lutke can go ahead and build up Main Street. Yes, we've gotten an economic development grant for it, but how much has gone back into Main Street? We have to channel and find ways to channel people into that. I don't know if it's the university that's telling students don't go to Main Street, but the people are not there. Businesses can't survive. And why? You're the council. You've got the answers. I don't. I'm going to come back with questions to you, week after week. And one question I have to ask. I asked when this council first was empowered, back in April, I guess it was. I asked for the Pledge of Allegiance to be said before each meeting. And I also asked for a parliamentarian to be appointed. We're in December, well, end of November. Yet we have not heard reason one why we don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. And yet, on the Zoning Board of Appeals, we say it every meeting. Mike Den was at the last meeting. He said it. He's agreed to say it. It has no problem saying it. So why can't the rest of our city council do that? Why can't you stand up for the rights of our citizens, the rights of our country, and the rights of our money, and not to throw it away? If you're going to throw it away, put it on streets and roads, not pet projects, because you've been guaranteed something. I have no idea why, but these projects are going on. And I'm not against the university. I was a student at one time. And yes, I'd like to see the school get what it needs within reason. You have approximately 4,300 people in here, in this town, and yet you want the citizens to carry that burden? If you do, I'm ashamed, totally ashamed.
Item 7 on the agenda is reports, committee reports. Commission on Aging. Bonin, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add other than what's on the report you got in
In the packet? Okay.
Packet.
Community Safe Routes is me, I'm the rep, I have nothing to add. Library Board is President Nichols, she's absent. Parks, Forestry, and Recreation, Counselor Killian.
No addition?
And Water and Sewer, Killian, Steiner, and Bonin. No additions? Other reports, department progress reports. Does anyone have any questions for department heads?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Let's see, the first one is, can somebody say something about, let's see, this was about city attorney drafting a letter as far as sprinkler systems.
Yes, I can comment on
Draft
that.
a letter to property owners regarding requirement for sprinkler systems. Is this a single unit or a broad coverage or what?
The letter will be sent to the property owners that own fraternity and sorority properties. The state of Wisconsin passed a law several years ago that as of January 1, 2014, all student housing units affiliated with the university, including sororities and fraternities, must have sprinkler systems. And so we are making sure that we inform the property owners that that requirement is coming in, and anticipate having to do some work with the property owners to make sure they comply.
Is there a deadline for that?
Well, the state of Wisconsin says January 1, 2014. I no longer believe that we can accommodate that, but we're not real sure, I guess, at this point if the state is going to assign inspectors to come to Platteville to look, or if they're going to rely on the city of Platteville to do the inspections. If they do end up relying on the city, I think we've talked informally about giving them a couple of additional months to comply, but at some point we'll have to get compliance with the state law.
Well, that can't be a cheap thing, sprinkler system.
No, quite frankly, I anticipate that if a fraternity doesn't own their house and they're renting from a landlord, that somehow the association with the university will have to be broken to get out of the requirement. I don't see landlords putting in sprinkler systems to that expense.
No.
So.
This is not a new state law.
No, it's at least 2
Passed
years old.
More than 2
2
years.
or 3?
I would say it was a law that was perhaps passed as much as 4 years ago.
I was thinking 2010 myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the appropriate folks were made, I mean, I don't think this letter will be a first.
Good.
It may not have come from the city before, but I think that there was notification before, so that these people are aware that this regulation was,
We still have several that are not sprinklered, so
I understand that.
we'll have to deal with this
Yeah.
issue.
Busted for that one.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question for Community Planning and Development. And it says here, worked on draft modifications to the zoning ordinance regarding building setback and height requirements. So, what has prompted this? And secondly, which zoning districts will be affected? Joe?
That proposal will be going to the Plan Commission at their December meeting. It's in response to, primarily it started in response to the design standards that we adopted. Realized there were caused some conflicts with the other portions of the zoning ordinance, so I'm proposing to address some of those issues. I think it affects pretty much all the districts. It's across the board modifications to the building height and setbacks.
So there'll be some increase in height in some of these districts?
Correct. And reduction in setbacks.
I think the increase in height allows more peaks to be used for
Yeah,
taller buildings.
an example, we were talking about multifamily earlier. There's a design standard that encourages different levels, roof levels, to offset so you don't have a big monolithic structure. Obviously, some parts of the structure have to get taller to accommodate that, and we have had some instances where they can't meet that requirement, so they end up putting on a flat roof. So to me, I'm proposing for the most part just a 5-foot increase to allow some additional flexibility to accomplish that. The one area that would be taller than that increase is the downtown area, and that's in response to the downtown revitalization plan. There was a recommendation in there to.
That's 50 feet now, so it's going up to what?
Well, the downtown plan had several different recommendations. I'm proposing 70 feet, which was the smallest increase in the plan.
Okay, thank you. I'll come to the Plan Commission. I think that's it for questions. Thank you.
No others. Moving on to the action items. Item A is ordinance 13-25, repealing and recreating chapter 23 of the building code. Joe?
Yeah, we're proposing changes throughout the chapter 23. a lot of the changes are in response to changes at the state level. Our code references in many areas the Department of Commerce, which has now been changed to the Department of Safety and Professional Services, and they also renumbered the Wisconsin Administrative Code. So anytime we reference that, our code sections are incorrect. So we want to bring that into compliance. Also making some language changes regarding the Board of Appeals, so the language is the same as what's in Chapter 22 and Chapter 25, so it's consistent. Section 2315 would be changed to provide additional clarification, basically language regarding property maintenance, further clarification of when a property would be in violation, and also to make some consistency with language in the statutes and administrative code. Section 2316 has references codes that are adopted by reference, primarily International Property Maintenance Code. And we went through that and made deletions in that code of where it either conflicts or basically is redundant to sections in our current municipal code. And I did include the full document, and it X'd out the areas that we're recommending to be deleted. So that should clean things up a little bit. And then the last change is just a little bit of additional language that allows a little bit more flexibility on the part of the code enforcement officer as far as which code to use that best fits the situation at hand. Any questions?
I have a couple questions. Page 7, Commerce 70. You've crossed it out completely. It says that structures shall have the option to conform to standards set forth in Wisconsin Administrative Code, Chapter 70, Historic Building Code.
Right.
So does that mean a historic building code no longer will apply here in Platteville?
The historic building code no longer exists at the state.
State took it out?
The state took it out.
When did they take it out?
When they redid the numbering system.
When it is the numbers?
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Page 15. It's is looking at this is the IPMC International Property Maintenance Code may be applied in any instance in which maintenance or upkeep of a property is inadequate. Well, that weakens you're taking out the shall. So what's the reasoning?
Because then we have the flexibility of using either the National Property Maintenance Code or Chapter 23 or Chapter 5, whichever best fits the situation.
It's a matter of either or.
Correct.
Some different possibilities.
Right.
Okay. Okay, then going to page 18 of the International Code, 18. I was curious as to what the vertical bars meant. So, for example, page 18, you have vertical bars by room area.
I did
and
not put
efficiency
those in
unit,
there.
And then by minimum area requirements.
That was, that's directly in the National Property Maintenance Code. I just copied that, so that must have been identifying changes that they made from their previous version.
And my next question is how is this International Property Maintenance Code going to be presented to a contractor? Will they come in and see all the crossouts, or are you going to make a clean copy, or what's going to happen? How is this going to be used?
Well, I see this basically being used by our building inspector, because he's the one doing enforcement. This doesn't apply to new construction. So a builder or a contractor wouldn't use this particular
So
section.
it's going to be our building inspector.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I move adoption of ordinance 1325, repealing and recreating chapter 23 of the building code.
No second?
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded, ordinance 13-25. We'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item B is resolution 13-44, amend the 2014 fee schedule under fire inspection fees.
During the October 22nd, 2013 budget work session, there appeared to be a consensus of the city council to increase the fire inspection fees by $5 in the 2014 budget. Since the 2014 schedule of fees was previously approved by resolution on September 24th, 2013, a resolution will now be needed to amend the new fee. Please see attached resolution. That would be resolution 1344 that would increase the fire inspection fee by $5.
And Larry, it was the last time it was increased was how many years ago?
Unfortunately, I don't know that off. I don't have that answer.
Do you have that?
I want to say it was like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
4 or 5.
Yeah, I would
I
say,
think you said it was like 5 years.
5
Thinking about
years.
5 years. I'm not positive.
I know it's been done since I've been on the council.
I thought they said it was right, when I talked to Niehaus, I thought he said it was right before Larry started.
So 2009? Yeah, okay. Around in there.
I have a question.
I move adoption of resolution.
Hang on, Ken's got a
I
question.
have a question. My first question, is the inspection program self-supporting? I was able to find a revenue of $32,060, but I couldn't find the expenses.
Okay. Before this idea was proposed to the work session, we did some staff analysis, and our conclusion was that it was not paying for itself at this point. So we felt justified in requesting an increase to this.
Is it paying for itself with the $5 increase?
It becomes much closer. I don't,
What is the expense with the $5 increase?
it goes up to
I know what the
35.
revenue is, what's the expense?
Well, the expense would stay the same, except that there's an increase
Well, I
proposed.
don't know the expense.
That fire inspector.
Yeah.
It's labor, wages and fringes for the fire inspector.
Yes, but what's the expense?
What is the amount?
Yes,
I have the sheet right here.
I can look it up.
And I think
What's
only
the-
like a certain percentage of it is
What's
used for
the
this,
account
so.
number?
75%.
So it's safe to say it's not self-supporting yet.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's approximately 75% of 58,000, so
How much?
about 43,500 is what the expense is. For the wages and fringes.
My hearing is gone.
For the wages and fringes of the inspector, about 43,000.
42, that's over a long ways away yet. Thank you. We're about 11,000 short.
Entertain a motion?
I move adoption of resolution 1344, amending the 2014 schedule of fees, fire inspection fee.
Second?
Moved and seconded for resolution 13-44, changing the fire inspection fees up $5. We'll vote?
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner.
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item C is resolution 13-45 to amend the 2013-2014 fee schedule to delete the street vendor permit fee.
During the October 22nd city council meeting, the city council took action to repeal section 31.15, vending on city property with ordinance 1323. There's an annual permit fee of $50 and an event permit fee of $5 associated with this action that will also need to be deleted in 2013 and 2014 fee schedules. Attached is the resolution 1345 that will delete the fees from our fee resolutions.
The ordinance has been repealed. So now this just cancels the permit fee.
Just clean up.
Yeah, clean up. Any questions?
I move we adopt Resolution 13-45, which deletes street vendor permits.
Second.
Fees.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Killian, seconded by Bonin. We'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
motion carries.
Item D is Resolution 13-46, amend 2013-2014 fee schedule to establish a beekeeping permit fee. Now, as I recall, Joe, we decided on $25, but we hadn't decided last time if we were going to have it renewed annually, is that right?
Well, when we adopted the ordinance to allow the beekeeping permits, we talked about having a fee, but no formal vote was ever made, so we weren't sure if that meant you didn't want to have a fee or if you just failed to establish an amount. So we're suggesting $25 would be a one-time permit fee. If that's not what you want, then we need to know what you've got in mind.
I'd go along with that. Anyone else? Okay. Yep, it's consensus that the $25 one-time fee is fine.
Need a motion.
It's a resolution.
Yes,
No vote.
I need a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Bonin, seconded by Killian, Resolution 13-46, establishing the beekeeping permit fee. Will vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
motion carries.
Item E is Delta 3 engineering contract, which was tabled from the last meeting.
At our last meeting, staff proposed a one-year extension to the Delta 3 engineering contract. The council asked staff to go back and bring back a 3-year extension option for the Delta 3 engineering contract. Included in your packet is both the 1-year extension as well as the 3-year extension. Also, I should note that when we photocopied the contract, we failed to provide, I believe it's addendum D, which should be in front of everyone at their table.
Okay, so there was, at the last meeting, I think we were a little bit split on deciding whether it should be a 1-year renewal or a 3-year renewal. I would prefer the 1-year renewal. I think it gives the city more options at the end of 2014. And I'm not saying that I'm against anything that Delta 3 Engineering has done. I just would prefer to leave the options open.
I'm in favor of the 3-year extension because there's gonna be set prices for 3 years. We might as well take advantage of those savings because, as you know, nothing stays the same and the costs generally do not go down, they go up. And since you've had Delta 3 for a long, long time, they've done majority of our engineering projects, and they've done a great job, and I haven't heard anybody say to the other. I think the 3-year extension is a benefit for the city, cost factors, and we'll be working with the people that we're used to working with, and I think that's the better deal for the city.
Is that a motion?
I can make that a motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to go with option 2, the 3-year renewal with Delta 3 Engineering. We'll vote.
I have a
Nope.
question.
All right.
This is a 3-year it ends in, I mean, it's a 3-year.
Yes, it is
It's not a
defined.
rolling horizon contract.
Yep.
We'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
No.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Okay, item E is the GIS contract. Larry, are you going to do the staff report? Like Howard's gone, or?
Yeah, I mean, at the last meeting, we had a presentation from a gentleman from Symbiont. I think he answered all the questions that you had, but that is the firm that the staff is recommending for our GIS contract. It would be Symbiont. It would be a 3-year contract with a total price of $70,294. I hope you don't have any technical questions, because I'd be the wrong one to answer those.
I have a question. If performance is not satisfactory, how do we get out of the contract?
I thought it was a 90-day escape clause.
Yeah, there's something in there.
Yeah.
You include the contract in
We just have the proposals in there. We don't have the actual contract in your packet, but I don't have that with me either.
Yeah.
I was looking for the contract, I couldn't find it. Did we ever get it?
It's,
I got the proposal in my last packet.
right. Yeah, that's not the actual contract.
No, it's not, it's just a request.
The contract's gonna be substantial. I guess there's the option of tabling this if you'd like to review the contract. I think staff has done an initial review with the Director of Public Works and the Director of Community Development and Planning. But it is a substantial document, like the comp plan. Do you want me to email that out to you guys, or how would you like to receive that?
I would also like to know if our attorney has reviewed the contract.
I don't believe he has at this point. If you'd like to make that a condition of your motion, that would
Yeah,
certainly.
and frankly, that's what I would like to hear from. I would like at the end then to have the attorney's evaluation of the contract. So I move to table contract 16-13 GIS services to the next meeting and request that our attorney be involved in the review of that contract along with staff, that we receive a report at that time, and that the contract be made available to the council.
I'll second it.
Okay, tabling is non-negotiable. We'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen.
yes,
Motion carried.
Item G, contract 17-13 swimming pool boiler. Again, I suppose this is Howard's domain.
It is. Unfortunately, Howard is on vacation at this time. What you have in your packet are the contract for adding, all you have are the bid tabulation sheets for the 2 bids that we received for the pool boiler and the chemical room alteration. We looked at this at our last month's meeting, and I believe there were 2 questions. The first asked about the doors, and the second about venting. The 2 new doors to the chemical room are required to be fiberglass to ensure that the door is not corroded, and the other 2 doors that are not exposed to chemicals are painted metal. There is also an exhaust fan to vent the chemical room. Fresh air will come in past the boilers through the chemical room to vent chemicals in the air to the outdoors. At this time, staff is recommending the award of contract 1713 pool boiler and chemical room alteration, including alternate bid 1 and 2 for a total of $102,799 to Ingersoll Plumbing, with the costs to come from the existing Public Works Capital Improvement Plan accounts. Enclosed is the bid tabulation.
You may not be able to answer the question, but is the venting continuous?
You're right, I am not able to answer that question. There is a schematic or design in your packet.
I used to work with chemicals, so
I'm not
turn
sure
the
if
fan off.
you've worked
that's a
with
problem.
chemicals, maybe you can read the diagram better than I can.
Normally when you have chemicals involved for safety and health and everything else, it's a continuous flow ventilation, because
Yeah, I would
otherwise
assume.
you're not gonna have that safety factor.
Does that satisfy you?
I will assume that it's gonna be running all the time, as long as the
Better
chemicals
be.
are there.
It better be,
Well, it wouldn't be effective if,
exactly. If you look at IDLS, safety and health, like OSHA standard, that has to be a positive flow.
There is a representative from Delta 3 in the audience, perhaps he can answer that question.
Poor guy,
Can't
he
answer
goes
that
into
question.
hiding.
Not your department, huh?
He charges.
No, I know it's Scott's department.
Dan Drossens with Delta 3. Although this is not my project, Scott Chyko, my partner, was working on it. Typically, the venting for the chemical rooms, there's so many air exchanges per hour to prevent buildup of the chemical. And then upon entering, there's going to be a motion sensor where it's going to kick on continuously while the person's in there. So you're correct that there will be continuous ventilation through there.
What does it have to kick on if it runs all the time?
It doesn't run all the time. There's so many air exchanges per hour.
Oh, I see, it's gonna go on and off.
Correct.
Maintains the
Ah,
Runs
All the time when
continuously
you're in.
when somebody's.
And then it runs continuously when someone's in there via motion sensor.
You're allowed to have certain amount in the air, and that's what the sensors are for. When it reaches that level, then it vents.
Correct.
any other questions, Kent?
no.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move adoption of contract 1713 pool boiler and chemical room alteration, including at a bid price of $102,799. It goes to Ingersoll Plumbing. It also includes alternate bids 1 and 2.
Second?
Contract 17-13, swimming pool boiler. We have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes,
Steiner,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes,
motion carries.
Item H, park policy on the Little Free Library.
Enclosed is the policy the council reviewed at our last meeting. We did have guests who came to speak to us from a group of concerned citizens, a group of citizens that would like to see little free libraries established in the city of Platteville. The Park Rec and Forestry Committee have worked with the group and have designed a policy that they'd like to see the city of Platteville adopt, governing the establishment of little free library structures on city-owned property. Enclosed in your packet is the policy. At our last meeting, there were some discussions about perhaps regulating the books or the censoring what is in the little free libraries. The city does not take any, we do not take any materials out or add any materials. This is completely separate from the city governance. So we're hoping that that does not become an issue in the future. The public are encouraged to take books and add books as they see fit. The city really won't be involved in monitoring what's in them.
Yeah, I think it's a good start for the policy. It seems they've covered everything. Try to foresee any problems that might arise with the library. And they're not used in the winter months.
That's correct.
No, they take
They take them down, yeah. Anything else?
I'm resting.
I will entertain a motion on the park policy for the Little Free Library.
Second.
No, I can't make the
Oh.
motion. I'm entertaining a motion.
I'll make it.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes,
Steiner,
Yes.
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
yes,
motion carries.
Last item under the action items is item I, firefighter memorial in City Park. And Dave, I see we have the model here, right?
Yeah, might need some help with the staff note here from the committee members as well. My understanding is that the Park Rec and Forestry Committee has reviewed a proposal submitted by the fire department to erect a memorial in our city park. Enclosed in your packet are the materials, including a site map as to where the memorial will be constructed, as well as a picture of what the memorial will look like. I do know that Parks Department is represented and the fire department, if you have any questions for those two departments.
I will add at the last meeting, the forestry, the Parks Recreation Forestry Committee did approve an alternate location on the opposite side of the sidewalk, as was brought up at the council. So they did approve that, but they would like that, they are asking that that decision be consulted with the firefighters.
So are you saying, Luke, this isn't ready for action then?
They gave you two options. At the last committee, they approved. They're still recommending the proposed location that they initially suggested.
Who is they?
The Parks, Recreation, Forestry Committee.
Okay.
However, if based on the discussion at the last council meeting that was presented to them, and they did approve the opposite side of the sidewalk as a secondary option, but because no representatives from the firefighters were at that meeting, they would suggest that the council consult them before adopting an ordinance there.
So we should table.
So they don't want.
So we
us
should
to do
table
that.
this until that happens?
You have a representative from the firefighters here if you would like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead.
At the last council meeting, it was mentioned that the statue faced the,
Face north, yeah, with the back.
well, it was
really.
facing north, but then it was turned around, so it faced the gazebo.
Right.
And, you know, either way, it doesn't matter, whatever you guys prefer. We just figured if it was on the south side, it'd take up a little less green space in that whole big area that's all green. But it can face either north or south on which, you know, whatever the council prefers, but we'll go with whatever.
But wouldn't it take up the same amount of green space?
Gonna
no
take
matter
up the same amount of green
where it
space. The only thing is if you're on the north side of the sidewalk, that's all one great big area. If you go on the south side, you got trees and that there, that isn't a big area for, you know, playing football or whatever they do there.
The discussion came up when the committee was walking around out there that was the largest section of unimpeded green space left in the park, and they were hesitant to put the statue in that green space.
I can't see what one side of the sidewalk or the other would make a difference on the green space being used up.
Dave, did the fire department, did they want to discuss this, the change at all?
We've discussed it a couple times. We talked after and like we said, we like it in the park. Right where it's at is fine, but if it has to be, you know, if it makes a difference which ways it faces, we'll turn it to the north side of the sidewalk.
Then have it face south.
Yeah. I think it'd look better on the south side facing towards the other statues, but that's my thought.
Yeah, but isn't it set quite a ways?
Well, it is, but it just, you know, statues, and you can have all facing the same, guys. And that the memorial, Veterans Memorial, most of the statues are facing to the south. If we face ours, then we'd just face it to the south also. If you want it on the north side.
I agree with that.
I have a question. If you considered the east side of the park instead of the west side, it appears from the drawing that we have that the east quadrant, the northeast quadrant of that park is split in half, and that the bottom half, the southeast corner of the northeast quadrant is the smallest amount of green space.
The only thing on the east side of that park is used a lot when you have your art displays and all that. That side of the park is where a lot of your setups for different events are.
The whole, pretty much the whole east side of the,
Yeah, the party in the park during hometown festival.
Yes, that's all kind of on that east side.
That's
That's
true.
why we stayed to the west.
if we had that on the north side of the sidewalk and facing south, it would probably, that's my opinion, might be, look nicer facing that way, being the other ones are
Facing
facing.
that way. And that's fine. We have no problem with that.
One other question for you, Dave. Which position or which placement lends itself the best for security? Do you guys have a preference on that?
Right where it would be on either side of that sidewalk would be.
Where you already looking?
It's lit good. It's right there on that. You can see it when you drive by this, on Chestnut and stuff. You can see that real well. So it isn't something that's, if you put it back in a corner, it's not going to be seen as visible. So
I'm assuming we have a memorandum of understanding relative to not only this monument, but also the other monuments that are in that park as to whose responsibility is to do the upkeep and any repairs that are necessary. So I'm assuming we have that on the Veterans Memorial, and that memorandum of understanding has been drafted and has been signed. I would assume that there would be a like memorandum of understanding here. I hate to believe that anybody would vandalize these things, but unfortunately, everybody doesn't grow up with the same values, I guess.
That's right.
In terms of that.
yeah, we figured we'd have the maintenance on it.
Going back, Dick, you said either side okay with you? For the
I think I'd like to see it on the north side facing south.
north side facing
Of the
south?
side, just across the sidewalk from where it's at,
And then turn the statue,
face south.
it's facing south now.
No, it's not.
No,
It's facing north.
north.
It's facing north. See?
So that it would be facing the sidewalk.
It'll face the sidewalk, but it'll be on the north side of the sidewalk.
Oh,
Be right here.
So then it would face the veterans also, that area?
No, it'd be more or less facing,
The same way the Veterans
Oh, okay,
Memorial
so
is.
they'd all look the same?
yeah, cause
Okay.
if we had a program or something in the, what do you call it, the gazebo.
Gazebo,
And would make reference to that, you can look at it, you can see it.
yes.
I think that's a good idea.
facing south,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that.
I make a motion that we authorize the placement of this statue by the firefighters on the north side of the sidewalk coming in from the west side in City Park, and that statue face the gazebo. I also include in that a memorandum of understanding be drafted and signed prior to the installation of the statue, and that this be the final statue that we have in this park.
What did you say? The
And that
last
this be
word?
the final statue, otherwise we're just gonna
Oh,
have a
final.
whole lot of statues.
Well, this is Memorial
That's,
Park.
See, we,
It's a city park.
It's City Park.
Oh, pardon me.
No second? Motion fails? So, what do we do?
What part is not liked of the motion?
no more statues.
No more statues.
What if we lose a firefighter, or we, heaven forbid, or a police officer, or whatever,
Well, if it's a police officer, they have a very large yard in front of the police station.
Well, we already have a,
police officer in there now.
I know, I'd like to,
in the far south corner.
yeah. I would like to see it moved over to the police station.
Oh, that's another comment. but-
Yeah, it is. So,
Well, we can always change that final statue component, right, Barb?
I guess.
Just need a new motion. So Barb, do you want to make a new motion and?
Yes, I make a new motion.
All right.
That we accept this statue, place it on the north side, have it face south, and leave that component open for future discussion if somebody wants to step forward with another statue.
How about the memorandum of understanding
Oh,
regarding?
yes, add that.
Memorandum of
can't say it.
understanding regarding maintenance be signed prior to the installation of the statue.
Whose motion, yours or hers?
He's making the motion
Combined, I
right now.
can't say all those words. So, that's what I agree on.
All right,
I second it.
Thank you.
all right. We finally made a decision. We'll vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
No.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
motion carries.
Voted down what I wanted.
Okay, move on to item 9, information and discussion. Item A is resolution to authorize salaries for City of Platteville employees for 2014.
Enclosed is resolution is the resolution doing the salary increases for hourly employees, as directed by the city council during the budget discussions. The resolution calls for a 2% increase to full-time hourly employees on January 1, and then a 1% increase on July 1. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. Any questions for Larry?
Yes, I have one question. I was looking at this, and as I said before, I believe the senior citizen center director is not getting a pay increase, and that's because she is part-time.
That's correct.
And then the senior center aide is the same situation. My question is, if the part-time people were given the same pay increases, what would be the cost? Could that be brought back next time?
Sure. If you're asking for the same, what the increase would be.
Yes,
Yeah.
the same.
Are you asking for this for all part-time people? Because Ken, I would note also that it's
The-
assistant
for all the
DMS
part-time.
administrator, the city manager administrative assistant.
That's right.
The
That's right.
museum education coordinator, the museum curator. There are many people on this
Yes.
list who have no. So you want the cost if all part-time employees were given the 2% and the 1%.
That's correct.
And where are you going to, so we're gonna revise our budget?
At
Or
this
where-
point, it would take a budget amendment at this point.
Well, the budget was, for example, passed with the city clerks at the old salary, correct? So we're gonna change the budget anyway if
Yep.
that passes. I would appreciate information to see how I want to look at things as far as salary increase.
We will definitely have that in your next packet.
Thank you.
So that's a 2% raise then January 1?
Whatever,
And 1% in July, is that what you're talking
yeah,
about?
the same as the rest.
All right.
Mr. Killian, would you like that to include seasonal staff, summer help?
That would be, when you
boy.
say part-time, some of those are seasonal?
Well, we hire a significant number of lifeguards, public works summer employees, seasonal staff, and I guess I didn't know if you wanted that included in your estimate.
Well, my question is, when is the seasonal staff ever raised, as far as wage?
At this time, when we do the wage resolution.
Or when the minimum wage was up?
Yeah.
Yes. Could you separate them out, seasonal?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, item B is CenturyLink property, the potential purchase of a parking lot at 220 North 4th Street.
Yes, the city of Platteville met in closed session to discuss the idea of purchasing the property. The seller has agreed to our purchase price. Enclosed is a document that they have created outlining the purchase and sale agreement. Our city attorney has reviewed it. It's a little bit of a different format than what you would see typically. It's a little different than an offer to purchase, but it's simply more specific and adds a few requirements. But our city attorney said that this is something that he would definitely recommend.
Okay, and I see here you have, after purchase, city staff will bring forward an expansion of the permitted parking program to add this lot into the program. Are there any other ideas for the lot? Do you know?
I put that on there to raise the question, if anyone has desires for it to be used for something otherwise, instead of permitted parking, we'd certainly.
Okay, my only idea, just throw this out there, was for staff employees to use.
Okay.
As a permit parking? Or
No, not
just-
permitted, just as.
Free parking?
Provided for, I mean, they're parking on the street now, right? A lot of them, or back here.
In spaces significantly closer to the city hall, are you intending to require employees to park a block away?
I'm not, it's just an idea I threw out to consider, that's all. I'm not being that specific, Larry.
Why don't I bring back the proposal, and that would be a good time to discuss what to use for the lot for.
Okay.
Did you say this agreement is from Century?
CenturyLink
They
did
wrote up this
draft.
whole thing?
Yes, they wrote. See, CenturyLink is a pretty large company, and I suspect
Yes,
they
it's
use
a-
this format for all of their properties in every state. So.
I thought I'd never get through it.
Yeah. I thought the same, and actually suggested that we just go with a local Wisconsin format that a realtor locally would use, but our attorney said just, it's okay, we can use this. And
Yeah, I'm not surprised, okay. All right, moving on, item C is the IT consultant contract.
yes, the city of Platteville has been dealing with IT concerns for quite a bit now. It's a pretty specialized area, and we did have an analysis done of our city computer systems. TJ Carter is here today from CompuNet to answer any questions you may have. As a result of the analysis that was done of our City Hall computer system, I asked Mr. Carter to submit a proposal as to what it would look like if CompuNet were our IT consultant. And I've reviewed that proposal, and I've actually hired an outside firm to review the proposal. And at this time, I guess I'm comfortable recommending that we consider the proposal from CompuNet. The proposal is a 2-year contract. However, the city would have the ability to get out of the contract if we decided the services were not what we were looking for.
Okay, any questions for?
Yes, I had, I think I discussed or commented, I don't find in here a comment about working with any of the council committees and boards.
Okay.
And I would like to see that built into the contract.
Okay.
That if they want to make a presentation that affects any of our current boards, committees, commissions, that be included.
If the council agrees, I could ask them to amend the contract to insert a paragraph suggesting they'll report back to the council every 6 months with an update on how the implementation is going. Or if you have a committee you want to ask them to present to, we could do that as well.
Well, what have we done with other contractors? I'm sorry, but you have to bring me up to date.
The lowest cost option. That's
But
typically the way
making
this.
presentations.
Yeah.
to come forward.
For IT services, we've gone with what has been the least expensive to the city of Platteville, and that did not involve presentations in the past. But that doesn't mean that shouldn't change. If there's an interest on the council level to be more engaged with our
okay.
IT.
Thank you, Steph.
TJ Carter with Compia. No, it's our intent. What you have in front of you is the first piece of it, which is a support contract, which is really going to work with getting stability back to the systems and putting a lot of love on the users so they become very comfortable with where we're starting. In addition, there was a certain budget number Larry had. That contract doesn't reflect all that. We have also reserved some set of dollars to do infrastructure upgrades. Okay, come in and get the network structured and secured, take care of the email issues and all that kind of stuff. It would be our full intent as we pick up these sorts of projects that are actually going to be making meaningful impact and changes to the city, that we would have no issue presenting those to the council as they come up, and would not be an additional fee. I mean, if we do proposals, we do proposals all the time. It's part of our business. We do, I think, have Larry 4 hours dedicated in there a month to work with Larry. At his discretion, he can certainly use that time to meet with other city leadership or folks like yourself if that's what's appropriate. So.
Well, I would like presentations, because I do believe there's all kinds of committees and commissions, and that would like to hear what you have to say along the way.
No, and it's our intent to really, if we're going to do something transformative, we would want your support and backing in what we're doing. So we can add that to the contract if you like, that kind of verbiage. But
well, I think the every 6 months is appropriate.
I'd cut it down to less than that.
Well,
Every 3 months.
That's more.
But okay.
More presentations last time. That's fine. I mean, we'd be happy to do
I mean,
that.
6 months.
it can be a written letter.
No, we're happy to. I mean, whatever you guys feel is appropriate.
I can think of 2 committees, which I won't say right now because I think I have to think that through, but that even a letter would be appropriate.
I think the
not that we
engagement on a personal
necessarily
level is
need-
going to be important. The way this is going to work best is if the various individuals, the committee heads, the department heads, start to understand the value and they're pulling this kind of improvement out. So, so again, we have no concern or issue with that.
Is this a 3-year we're looking at?
I think it's a 2-year, but as Larry said, there's a 90-day out. So.
Well, I'd like frequent presentations or communications so we know what's going on, and so we don't wind up 6 months, a year later and hear the words, it's not working.
Oh, I think you'll hear it's not working pretty without a presentation if it's not working. But
I've heard that about some of these computer projects.
No, we don't do projects like that.
You don't, good.
So trust me. No, those are the projects that frustrate us to no end. So.
Well, okay, I ask a question. Tonight I could not get into Wi-Fi. I was asked, should I check? Couldn't get in. All my various emails I couldn't get in. Would that be solved?
Yes.
By your problem?
Yes.
Okay, because that was question, couldn't get in.
No, our focus is simple. You can't live without it. And, our contract has got 7/24 monitoring and service of all mission critical services, which we include as the network, internet access, email, all that basic kind of stuff. So.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't say
I
you
do,
can connect.
I just want to know that I have looked at this correctly. As I see this, the first 4 months of this contract in 2014 would be $7,500, and the next 8 months would be $30,000, so the base contract is $37,500, is that correct? Plus $2,000 to look at to hook all the, or to make all the PCs ready?
Yes, I
I'm
believe
trying to, and then there was mention that there was also a reserve for additional equipment. Is that what I just heard?
Yes.
And can you tell me how much that is?
TJ, do you know what the reserve was?
It was 20,000.
So altogether, this would be a $60,000 approximately.
57. Approximately. Yeah.
For the first year. And we have that in the budget?
50 of it in the budget. The 7 we're hoping to see by saving money on other areas.
You'll notice the first few months we've
You gotta go to the microphone.
Go to the mic.
There was a little back and forth in the contract. And I would suggest that based upon everything we see the city needs, our initial numbers were significantly higher. We did take the liberty to meet with a couple members of the city council, Barb, yourself, and Council Alderman or Nichols. And Larry to try to come up with some ideas. So we kind of really shifted the focus of things and took some things out. So for example, you know, the network piece has been updated and is relatively new. We want to do some structuring and security on that. But based upon the work Dan's done and other stuff, we said, okay, you know, let's pull that a little bit out and not worry about it as much. And really focus on doing some basic infrastructure changes to begin with. We still fell short, you know, on the budget side. So what we have done is said, okay, we'll kind of meet you halfway, and that halfway is the what you see reflected in the first 2 months fees. I think it's 2 months where we cut it down some, or cut it in half. We do hope, and we have been very successful in the past, when we come into an environment like this, it's not been super well managed and whatnot, that we do find opportunities where money is being sent and money can be saved and reallocated. So we're hopeful we can do that. We certainly have the project budget too, and the project budget, we at this point just did ranges. So for example, the range of one was 8 to 12. I don't remember what the range of the second one is. When we say 20, that's the high number. So again, you know, we understand the issue, and you know, frankly, we'll be trying to work for it to find the funds that have. And if not, then, you know, we'll have to see where we are at that point. So, any other questions? Larry did have it reviewed. I'm told it was a very, very cost-effective contract. So, even with the bigger numbers.
Okay, item D is ordinance 13-24, amending the City of Platteville Comprehensive Plan.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the plan is on the website now for people that want to review it. There's a copy at the library, there's a copy down in the city manager's office, and there's a copy available in my office if anybody wants to review it from the public.
Okay.
You gave us a copy, didn't you?
Yes.
It
At
is.
home. Good, thank you.
I brought it.
Have you read it?
Half of it.
That's about where I am. Item E, conditional use permit. This is the last item on the agenda. Family Pet Hospital Pet Boarding at 1620 Means Drive.
Yeah, they would like to relocate their business from their current location on Chestnut Street to the industry park. That use at that location would require a conditional use permit. So they will be going through that process. It will be going to the Plan Commission at their next meeting and then coming back for your action. The PADIC board, I did get a email from Melissa that the PADIC board has already voted to approve the sale of the property to the Family Pet Hospital for that location. So that is all set. So technically the approval would be the sale of the property to them since it's city-owned property, and also the conditional use permit to allow the vet clinic at that location.
Would they sell their building on South Chestnut then?
They rent at that location. So.
All right, okay.
You rent. Oh.
I have a question. I have a question. What about disposal of dead animals?
I would pass that question on to Mr. Beebe.
Is it gonna be cremation, burial on site, disposal from a location? None of the above.
You would state your name and address?
Terry Beebe, 7025 North 2nd Street. And our business is one such that when animals unfortunately do pass away, we have several options. One, the owners have the option to take that animal back to their property where they legally can bury if they can, especially out in country areas. Otherwise, would be no burial on site. I do not plan anything like a pet cemetery, anything like that. We currently have a service that over half of the veterinarians in the state of Wisconsin use. It's a cremation service, and they come in and take the animals to their location. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you
Sure.
anticipate, or do you now work with feral cats? Animals disposal?
I'm sorry, what was the last
Do you work
part?
with feral cats
Occasionally we do.
as far as disposing of those?
We
Or is
don't.
that done with the other clinic on Mineral Street?
The other
Yeah, we don't handle those for a disposal of those at this time.
So you don't plan to get into that?
Well, I've kind of left it a little open as far as, the potential for some opportunity to look at possibly some low-cost treatment for some animals under working with like a humane society or rescue groups. But as far as disposing of the animals, when you say that, I think of remains of an animal. And so something like that, on a few individual cases where I haven't had an owner take care of stuff, I've taken dollars out of my own business to send those to the cremation system. Does that answer what you're?
My son and daughter-in-law, they took animals to Madison to get them neutered.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any plans to get into that?
On a low-cost basis, is that what you're
Low-cost
talking
basis?
about?
Well, it was free. Madison was free.
Well,
So that's very low cost.
this is a business. I like to keep the cost as low as I can for all of the clients. But as far as just free services at this point, I don't intend to. Certainly not at this point. Yeah, free often is well. We're looking to provide the very best quality of services to the pets for owners in the community. And when I look at other clinics that I've been exposed to where they are quote unquote free services, typically there's just a different set of standards that I prefer to keep a certain level of standards as far as sedating animals, monitoring anesthesia, providing care so that they get the best care. I can't do that under a free guise.
But possibly low cost.
Well, again, I might explore that down the road, but not right up front. Yeah. Okay.
Relative term.
Yeah, it is a relative
it
term.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference from clinic to clinic and the services they offer and what they expect for the quality of medicine that they provide.
Doc, what are you looking at for boarding facility size?
Boarding
of
facility, at this point, we're just doing some preliminary investigation. There's been a lot of requests over the last 8 years that I've owned the business here for additional boarding. And we're in the process of saying, all right, just exactly what is our need going to be in the community. Additionally, with that, part of it's going to depend on overall cost of the project. Boarding is something I'd like to offer some additional boarding than what we currently do. I don't have good facilities for that. For any clients that are familiar with our facilities, we're pretty cramped. So that's a possibility. Again, I've got a certain limit of dollars that I will be limited to in a building project. And if I have to cut something, it may be how much boarding we provide. We are still looking at designs, and from that point, then it's going to make a difference as to cost of construction. Sure.
You said you do boarding, you're gonna board which animals? Which
It would be dogs and cats.
dogs? Okay, I'm looking at the location, and next door is the Mountain View Motel.
Mm-hmm. That's
How are you gonna control noise?
control noise. Currently, our boarding facilities are inside, and many boarding facilities are that way. Other boarding facilities that do have outdoor runs, there's a number of different fencing structures that can be provided to limit noise so it doesn't just, expand out. Often you even look at motels and one side of them is often adjacent to a highway. So noise can be a problem for them even just from that. My intent, being a member of the community, I want to make my facility as friendly as possible for any surrounding businesses. Certainly something like this is much better in an area that is not a residential area. And I think if you really investigate the current zoning, veterinarian clinics are considered a conditional use in a number of areas. And I haven't relooked at the strictly residential areas recently, but 3 to 4 years ago when I was looking at zoning ordinances, a veterinarian clinic was allowed in residential areas. And so if you're going to take even sick animals outside to get some exercise, you're going to have some potential noise there. Obviously, I want to limit noise, not just for neighbors, but for our own use. And there are a number of construction designs that can go into that.
What's located on 12 and 32 and 167?
Weber Metals, I think it's on 12, and 32, I think
That's
is,
L&M corrugated.
L&M corrugated. 1625 is the current, what used to be Hickory Springs.
Right.
And the lot that's kind of strangely divided, right now on the back side of that lot, they're building the new Fidelity Bank. On the front side is the old Blackhawk Engineering. I don't know what that little piece is.
That's vacant.
There's
Sale.
actually a little piece like that.
Yes.
Interesting.
Any other questions?
Well, anyway, noise may be
Well,
something you have to control.
Understandably, but again, if you have visited a lot of up-to-date modern boarding facilities, noise is a very minimal factor. Again, you use special fencing out around so that it holds the noise in and insulates it basically from other areas.
The fencing is how tall?
That's going to depend, again, partly on location, but it can easily be 10, 12 feet high.
And it's solid fencing?
It's the fencing that I've seen has been woven in such a way to be sound absorbent and protect it from going out, instead of just a solid where you would actually get a rebound or an echo effect.
I bring it up because I used to live next to a dog that barked.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Well, that's one of the
owner
reasons
of
we're
the
not
dog-
looking at being in a residential
The
section.
owner of the dog never heard the dog, so he had a hearing problem.
That's
boy.
probably not irrelevant for the boarding, but I certainly understand a concern there.
Well, I think I agree with you to move from your facility, because it is small, and those poor dogs have to go right in the front yard to be
Yeah,
walked.
we want to have where there's a larger area. The boarding itself, again, I don't anticipate a lot of excess time for animals to be out, and we're not in an area that's going to have a lot of residential and issues with animal noise that way.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you, Terry.
thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is it for our agenda.
Move to adjourn.
I move second.
Let's vote.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Steiner,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes,
motion carries.
we could have had a work session.
No, we don't.
This is a record.
Maybe I will someday.
We had a work session.
What has gonna say 9:15 is in the record. Sneaky.
I know they are.
That's fun with.
Got one close to sitting.